just introduce yourself, that would be great. Let's get started.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be on the call with you today, and I'm very passionate about this topic because it's kind of like avenue to share my experience moving from one tech role to another. So I am a cloud engineer, but I have been in tech for the past 3 years. I started my journey as a product designer, and now I'm specializing as a cloud engineer and architect. The journey has been challenging but fulfilling so far. And in my role, I've had the opportunity to work with several people from product managers, engineers, and now, yeah, I'm specializing as a cloud engineer.
Excellent. So started in product and
Yeah.
mastered the art of the pivot into engineering, the cloud engineering, not just engineering, cloud
Yeah, from
engineering.
design to coding.
Wow. Wow. Love that. I love that. And Hawa, if you'd like to tell us a little bit more about you, please.
Hi, my name is Hawa. I'm the co-founder of WA Health, which stands for We Advance Health. It's a software company that automates administrative tasks in general practices. I was also a cloud engineer for a year and a half at Government Digital Service, and now I'm full-time on my company, WA Health.
Excellent. How I went from cloud engineering to thinking, you know what, I back me. I have a dream, I have an idea, and I've got the tech skills to match. Let's make it happen and jump straight in. One of the things that I love about your journey, Howard, is that you didn't wait 30 years. You didn't wait 20 years. You didn't even wait 5. She said a year and a half. That's said,
I,
yup.
I
So
finished
I'm
that
ready
the
and
boot camp.
jumped straight in. And I love that and I admire that. Oh. Esther, can you tell us a little bit more about you, please?
Hi everyone, my name's Esther. So my journey is a bit different. I previously was a physiotherapist and now I work within a consultancy and I'm currently doing software development. So I'm really excited to be here to share my story on how I made that transition and I'm just about approaching my first year in technology. So I'm really excited to be here.
Excellent. We're excited to have you, Esther. Esther represents what I imagine is the majority of people on this call. So was doing something completely non-technical and leaped into tech. And I'm really excited to hear more about how you did that because from physiotherapist to a woman in tech without a bridge position, some people won't believe it's possible, but you're evidence that it really, really is. And we can't wait to learn more about how you did it. So let's jump straight in. So let's talk about your journey into tech. Let's talk about what you were doing before your transition into tech, and what it motivated you to make the switch, Dolapo.
I saw the problem and I wanted to be part of the solution. So I started out as in the sciences. I was a science student. So I come from Nigeria, whereby we have to complete a 1-year mandatory service. So I was serving as a lab intern, and it was while I was serving that I noticed that as an entrepreneur, when I want to like perform a particular when I want to perform a particular transaction online or when I want to do one or two things, I used to get stuck in the process and I was kind of like very frustrated and it's kind of challenging. So I was like, okay, who are the people behind this thing? How can I like also be part of the solution? How can I get into this space? So that was where I got to realize that there's something like product design, UX design, and graphics design. And because I didn't have the right resources and the right people then, so I did some self-learning. That was why I got to learn about graphic design. So I started out at graphic design and self-learning and also eventually moving into product design, UI UX design, where I specialized in that field for 3 years before finally moving into cloud engineering now. So that was what made me move into tech.
Never sleep on the power of self-support. Never sleep on the power of self-taught. If you think that the courses that you've downloaded, the bootcamp you've enrolled on, the work, the projects that you're building in the background have no weight, have no leverage, have no merit, if ever you're doubting that, this is evidence that it does, both in your individual learning and also when you go to interview. You know, when you're saying things like, I love continuous learning and I love growing. Well, what's your evidence for that? So all the work that you do in the background, all of the playing around, all of the getting it wrong, making mistakes, holds a lot of value. Thank you, Dolapo. Esther, what were you doing before you were transitioning to tech? You did briefly mention it in your intro, physiotherapy background, physiotherapist. Tell us more about your motivations to make the switch.
Yeah, so I graduated from university 2022, and between that, I worked part-time as a technology sales specialist in a hardware store. So because I worked in the computing department, I was surrounded by, the latest technology, and I remember we had to also do some training on what the cloud was. So it really just continued to spark my interest from like a really small thing into doing further research. And I also then went on to work as a physio for a little bit. In that, I still felt this desire to want to pursue something different. And the main reason was I wanted to build up skill sets that was completely different to anything I've ever done before. And so whilst doing that, I basically then went into CBF's AWS course. And that's essentially the starting point of how I'm here today.
Excellent, Esther. The power of curiosity, the power of not being afraid to kind of jump into something new. You know, that curiosity was the spark. Being able to back yourself or not being fearful of jumping into the unknown was what you did when you enrolled in the boot camp, and you reaped the reward. Here you are now. Excellent. I love that. Hawa, what about you? How did you transition into tech, and what motivated you? What was your light bulb moment?
Similar to the other people that spoke, I actually started I was trying to study medicine. I had a biomedical science degree and I got into med school, but I kind of knew that was not what I wanted to do. My friend, who is actually a CBF alumni as well, told me to just join the Slack channel, and there was like a Black Girls in Tech event. Then I attended that and I met like several health tech companies, specifically Acorex, was like the one that did like the light bulb moment for me. And they produce software that sends text messages to patients. So if you get a message from your GP, it's likely through Acorex. And they were hiring. I was like, no, I want to join a health tech company. I think I'll be more useful, like to patients, by creating something or joining people that create something. And I applied and got rejected. Obviously, I didn't have the skills at that point. I was just like, I just finished my biomedical science degree. I didn't know anything about tech. So I started working at a GP practice and I enrolled in the AWS Restart course. And after work, I'll just stay at the GP practice, finish like my my sessions were from 6 to 9, and I'll just finish the sessions. But for the project at the end of the boot camp, I needed to set up something with AWS Cloud, and I set up like a very basic website with an S3 bucket and AWS Medical Text Tract, and AWS Medical Comprehend, to extract information from clinical documents that I was processing at the GP practice. So I kind of tried to automate my work, and they actually liked it. And from there, I was like, I'm going to start a startup to help administer
Wow.
healthcare startup in
I
health.
love that. Howard, imagine if you stopped at that rejection. Imagine if you thought, oh my gosh, that's it. I've been rejected. That's me. You wouldn't be here today. You wouldn't have achieved all you have today. And you just started, in terms of the potential of the scope of what you're doing in terms of personal growth and also company as well. Imagine if that after that first rejection, you stopped. So ladies, resilience, 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 keep going. And also the courage to say no med school after getting in in, I imagine you had some kind of tricky conversations with people who probably wanted you to be a doctor. We know about the doctor, the engineer, the lawyer, right? And you said, no, actually, I want to do something else. So be courageous, be resilient when you have your dream. Defend your dream. It's yours, no one else's. Thank
I
you. That
see
was
we
great.
also I see we also have like something in common for all the speakers. Like three of us has gone to the AWS Restart program. So that really shows that CBF is really doing an amazing job.
They are,
Yes,
yeah.
and you know what as well? Yes, CBF is really the course is really incredible in that it allows you, it's not creating carbon copies of each other. It's giving you the foundational skills for you to use as a platform. People have taken so many different routes. The amount of different routes, what you can do post bootcamp is infinite, right? It's unique to you. So grab it, grab the resource, make it yours, and pull your dreams into reality. Such a great point, Dolapo. Thank you. Cool. So, how did you approach your job search? What sort of strategies have helped you land your first role? I know it's going to be a little bit different because some people kind of are self-employed at the moment, have their own businesses. But in terms of that initial door in, what was your job search strategy, Delapo?
I've had a mix of everything from applying on websites to sending cold emails and also applying on LinkedIn. But the one that helped me get my foot in the door is actually coming up with a list. So I have like a spreadsheet where I wrote down a list of organizations that I'm particularly interested in. The job link and also those that are not hiring, like try to do a search on LinkedIn to find the recruiters and also people that are working in that industry. So after having reached out to like more than half of my list, so I particularly reached out to an organization which I got to know about that organization through a connection on LinkedIn, and I got to know the CEO, Andrew, from there. So I reached out to the CEO directly via LinkedIn. And if you are just connecting with someone on LinkedIn, you have the opportunity to just send like a short message. So in that short message, I just presented myself. Hello, I'm blah, blah, blah. And I have this experience. I graduated from this bootcamp and I would like to work for your organization. So that was the email that I sent. And luckily for me, he replied me and was like, oh, okay, that's cool. So I got an opportunity to really talk about myself, share about my experience, and also include a link to my portfolio. So he said, okay, no problem. So he shared me his WhatsApp contact that I should reach out to him. And when I reached out, he connected me with the HR. They did an interview for me, and I got the role. So I got to find out that the in-house person they had was just about leaving. So they were actually looking for someone to fill in that role, but the role did not get advertised. So I was lucky enough that it's just like preparation meets opportunity. So that was how I got the role. And some of the things that helped me is that I did not wait for the opportunity, and I was kind of like very serious that I wanted to get the role. So I was very prepared. I already had my portfolio prepared. I also had some questions relating to what they are building, and I had interest in what the problem they are solving. So that was what really helped me and made me stand out, and I was recruited.
I love that, Delapo. And you know what? Some may call it luck, and certainly from the front end, it looks like luck. But on the back end, what did you do? You put the application in. You networked online. You messaged them directly. You prepared your
Yeah,
portfolio. So actually, it was dedication and tenacity, right? That got you that reward, and you earned it. You
exactly.
earned it. You had the clarity. You had the focus. You had the spreadsheet, honey. Not lucky at all. You were focused and fabulous. And you know what? It showed. And that's why. And luck, what is it? It's creating your own opportunities. And you literally
Yeah.
did that, right? You came at the right time. And the thing is that you probably did similar actions that didn't reap a reward, but you'd kept going. That was your process, right?
Exactly.
Sometimes we
Yeah.
need to move without the external validation. We just need to move with our own mindset and our own focus and our own intentions, and keep knocking on those doors for them to open. Not every door is going to be open. That's why you
Exactly.
go there. I love that. Thank you. That's really, really powerful. Portfolio. Applying to the role. If you're just hitting apply all, quick apply, it's not enough. You're at the bottom of a very long list. Make it personalized. Make it personalized. People buy from people, right? So make it personalized. Reach out, especially if it's a startup or a small or scale up company. You can do that, and you will be able to kind of stand out because of that. You make yourself memorable. You make yourself human. Great. I love that. Esther, same question for you. How did you approach your search? What strategies did you use?
So similar is a range of strategies, really. I heavily use LinkedIn. I remember I was posting on some of the little side projects I was doing, and I remember feeling so like, I just felt a bit like, oh my gosh, like no one wants to hear about a little side project that I've just done in my free time. But I remember having to push myself to do that. I reached out to people, and what I also did was had a bit of a list as well. And the list was kind of companies I was interested in and the ones that were actually hiring and the dates they were hiring. And so I tried to submit my applications within the time frame. So the way I actually then got the current job I'm working at now was there's an event called Courageous Conversations that they held, Principal One and CBF. And I remember thinking I really want to go to this. So I went there and I got to see the presentation. It was like really collaborative and it was a very interesting event. And so with that, I started talking to some of the staff members and I was like, actually, I really like what this company is about. And then I ended up applying. Then I had the interview stages and then had to present a presentation. And my presentation was about data and the world of data and how it's been changed over the past few years and the future of data. So because that was something that I found really interesting, I felt like I was able to like confidently convey the message I was trying to convey in the interview. So then I ended up getting the job and that, yeah, that's how I am today.
I love that. So networking in real life, we love that. There's a real hunger for it because we were locked up for X amount of years in the pandemic. People are still kind of reeling. People are still in that place where they're like, you know what? This is nice. When you get to talking, this is nice. There's a kind of shyness in the beginning, but actually you quickly get into how nice it is to be sharing ideas, to be learning from each other, to be networking. And when you do go to networking events, yes, it's good to connect with your peers, but do what Esther did. Honey, you're there for a reason. Speak to hiring people. Speak to people from the companies. It's okay to say hello, to be memorable. It's okay to to even compliment a part of their presentation. I loved it when you said XYZ. I also XYZ. That's okay. That's really good. You're memorable. You're leaving an impression. You're engaging in a natural way. You know, you're sparking a conversation. And then when they do see your application come in, they say, "Oh, yes, she's the one that asked that really good questions." All of a sudden, you're in interview, and the rest is history. And one thing that what I liked about what you said, Esther, is you spoke about something that you were genuinely passionate about. Some people go into interviews and cosplay. I really like, and it's stiff, honey. You go in with your passion, go in with your personality, and that's how you connect with people and get the results. And also, that's how you know a job, a company, an environment, a team is right for you as well. Because God forbid, after trying to get this role for so much, you end up in some dingy basement with, and it's not what you expected it to be. So when you show up as yourself and you connect with people, it's almost guarantees that connection, the understanding is real, right? You start off on a good foot and the only way is up from there. Excellent. Thank you, Esther. Howard, same question. How did you land your first role? What job search strategies did you use to land the cloud engineering position before you said, I'm off, I'm doing me?
Um, I have I feel like I want to speak about this in two perspectives as an employee, like so someone looking for a job and then someone hiring people now as well, or hired people. As an employee, when I was doing my job search, which was in 2022, firstly, I didn't get a job for like a year after the boot camp. And I feel like because I wasn't focused enough, I was like doing other like my entrepreneurship things until I realized no one wants to invest in someone that is building a tech company but doesn't have an experience in tech. So I needed to really get a job. But what I did was I was in loads of Slack channels. Like I did so many courses like Cantrell.io, and lots of courses, and most of them had Slack channels with hiring managers in it. And I applied to lots of jobs, got lots of interviews, but that was my first time like getting a technical job. So technical interviews were really hard for me and I was really bad at them. And I was so scared of them as well. And then I ended up getting my job in my third technical interview because I had improved at that point. I reached out to, like, there were so many people that taught me on the CBF course, and I just used to reach out to them all the time. Anytime I had an interview on Slack, I feel like building your projects and building projects in public is definitely important. Like posting, if I was going to do a job search now, I would make sure I'm posting on LinkedIn, posting on GitHub, and connecting with people, but also making sure that you can properly articulate yourself and answer those technical questions in those interviews is what I found to be the hardest. And then as someone that would want to work with people that are interested in tech or like software engineers, I don't think having prior experience like in a startup or having prior experience in corporate particularly is like very important. So don't feel nervous. Just make sure you are really passionate about like tech and you can articulate that well. You can really research. I know the software engineer I'm currently working with in my company is like one of the smartest people I've ever met, and he's never had a corporate job ever. Everything is self-taught, and he just posts like online what he's built, and he's in tech community properly. So I feel like right now there's like so many ways you can get a job and create opportunities for yourself that are not the traditional like applying for jobs on LinkedIn or websites way. And yeah, we can just kind of create opportunities for ourselves. I hope I didn't speak.
Thank you, Hawa. In a world where everyone is just applying, be the person that has the project, right? Be the person that has be the person that's attracting, not just applying as well. Be the person that is attracting people and getting people inbound. And you know what? You may all think, oh my gosh, I'm just in the learning phase. I don't really have projects to talk about. I haven't built X amount. Okay, so take us on your journey of learning. It doesn't have to be posting every week. It could be once a week, and you could say, you know, my Friday lesson of the week, you know, this week I learned, and build a bit of a series and excitement. This really surprised me, this networking event. So take people on the journey of your learning, right? Evidence your passion. Fill up your shop window. LinkedIn, everyone is on LinkedIn. But not everyone is kind of standing out. So how can you stand out in a way that is authentic to you and in a way that isn't kind of taking from you? You know, you don't have to, it's not supposed to hurt, right? We're not in struggle city. Oh, yuck, I'm a Taurus, I don't struggle. So go with what's natural for you, but also go with what's going to kind of work and in boosting your profile. Thank you, that was really, really, really great. What challenges did you face in securing a role, Dolapo? What were your, ooh, yes, this has happened again, but I must keep going?
The experience, before I got my foot in the door, often at times when I apply series of emails and at the end of the day, sorry, you don't have the experience, and I go back to the table and okay, also reached out to my mentor and also my tutor to understand the reason why I'm getting a lot of rejections. So I seek to get advice from these people. And at the end of the day, I realized that because I have little to no experience, and to really get my foot in the door, I need to stand out, to build a portfolio that is not only just unique, but also simple and reflects my personality. Because aside just working on projects, people want to see the human side of you. They want to know you. They want to know what unique characteristic, that unique thing that make you different as a person, because we all have that thing inside of us. So they want to experience that. So that was what the energy and the feel that I brought into designing my portfolio, and those tips has been really helpful. Another challenge that I have is that it's a lot to deal with, learning courses and also keeping up in classes. So I had to have some focus time to really go into this, because tech is ever changing. And if you just say you want to stop for a little bit, a few weeks or a few months, by the time you go back to it, you realize that you've missed a lot. So it is important to stay updated. So I also set some focus time and also some time to go through new things and stay updated on the latest trend. Just like we have AI and quantum computing now. So that has been particularly helpful in overcoming those challenges.
Yeah, I can really relate to that. And it's something we all know, we've all experienced from many different angles, the pace of tech. But it's important that you are your anchor, you anchor yourself, and you're in control. Otherwise, it can feel like you're being dragged along, not driving the car. So I absolutely love that. Get that focus time, get that downtime, get that balance time. Understand what is going to be worth your investment of time in terms of what's aligned to the long-term goal, because sometimes we can get distracted by something seemingly really exciting, sexy, shiny, new, and actually it's got nothing to do with where we want to be, right? So ask yourself, is this going to benefit my immediate goal? Then yes. Or is it something that I'm interested in but can pick up once I'm where I want to be, or at least further down the line? What's going to get me the wins that I want? And I guess that comes back to clarity. If you don't know what is beneficial to the goal, then you may not have a clear one. So that may be a good starting point, getting that clarity. Brilliant. So Esther, same question, please. What challenges did you face in securing a role? What obstacles did you so graciously overcome?
So there's a range of obstacles, especially coming from a non-technical background and trying to get into a technical field. There was a mountain of rejections, and I know this is very cliche. Rejection is redirection or protection. I think getting used to the amount of rejections, or sometimes just not getting anything back, or just not hearing back from an employer, was quite disheartening at the first few months. I think after I kind of got through that, I was like, okay, this is partly a numbers game. The more applications you make, the more likely. But again, in doing that, it was trying to balance it in making sure I was submitting meaningful applications and taking time to write cover letters, taking time to do sometimes they'll send you a link to a few questions that you need to answer, or a scenario you need to solve. So actually making sure taking the time to answer those as best as I can. I think the lack of experience was probably the biggest thing. And similar to what was already mentioned earlier, was building my portfolio, finding projects that I could do that were interesting, but also within my realm of possibility. That definitely helped. I would also say another thing was probably imposter syndrome, which is a bit more of maybe a personal thing. Kind of sometimes when you're getting rejected or not getting heard back, and it's like you're on your 6th month of applying for jobs and just nothing's happening. Kind of starting to think is this really for me? Can I do this? But in order to get to where I am now, I had to put that aside and just keep going. And eventually things were starting to change once I was able to kind of change my mindset and continue to pursue it.
Love that, Esther. So slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So the temptation in tech can be to spray and pay, apply to everything and just hope for the best. But the more you're just hitting apply all, immediate apply without kind of verifying, without personalizing it, the more watered down your application is. So actually being more intentional, specific, personalizing it, reaching out beyond just the apply is also the right balance. Yes, it is a numbers game in terms of if you haven't made any applications, you're not going to get any interviews, but also please get the balance right? Because you want it to be the apply all feature is almost has it separates the spray and prayers to the people that are actually, going above and beyond. So in a world where everyone's just being, hoping for the best, back yourself, be faith-based rather than just an experimental. You will get better results. And yeah, rejection is redirection, and you need that. Embrace it. Also, another thing, because this is one that people tend to get kind of stuck on, let's imagine you've put an application, you've got a bite back, you've got an interview request, and then the technical recruiter goes quiet. Don't get fixated. Don't show up at their house and be weird. Keep it moving. Something has changed. The role has filled. The recruiter hasn't come back to you. Something has keep it moving. Take it in your stride. It is going to happen sometimes. It's not personal. It doesn't mean that someone was better. It just means that you've probably fallen through the crack, and that's just not for you. Anything that doesn't is not it doesn't want you, for lack of a better way of saying it, is not for you, right? We want to always go where we're loved and appreciated. Brilliant. Thank you, Esther. That was really insightful. Thank you. Hawa, same question for you. What challenges did you face in securing a role? And how did you overcome them?
I feel like I face similar challenges. I didn't get a role for about a year after my boot camp. Um, one of the things that I struggled with was I used to be emotionally invested when I get rejections, and that's just now as someone that has a job, don't do that. As someone said, just pray and pray and just fail your way to the top. You're going to get so many rejections. It has nothing to do with you. Sometimes maybe your CV doesn't have the right words. But that being said, make sure you always take a step back and review. I changed my CV multiple times with people that are already in tech. I changed it for every role. Always get referrals as well. Like, be shameless to ask for referrals if you're applying for a job in a place that someone in CBF is at, or anyone. Just ask. Like, the most anyone can say is no. Also, I know you said don't turn up at the recruiter's house, but email them if you don't hear anything back. If you get, like, the job I ended up getting, I did an interview and I didn't hear back from the interviewers and the recruiter for about 3 weeks, and I emailed the interviewers and the recruiter and CC'd everyone that I spoke to throughout my interview process. And I feel like that's why they even got back to me, and like I got the job at the end. Spray, pray, just make sure you don't get emotionally invested. Like, honestly, it has nothing to do with you. Like, if the job market is bad, or it's really just part of the journey. Like, you have to get rejections before you get a job.
Yeah. Thank you. Follow up, don't stalk. Follow up, don't stalk, don't get stuck. But do follow up, definitely. Do follow up, because people are human. People sometimes, sometimes someone's off sick, sometimes something happens, sometimes budgets are put on pause internally. Sometimes the role was a fishing expedition. I was a tech recruiter for about 7 years, and I would fish, honey. If I knew a big project was coming up, I'd put a job ad and I would use it to build my pipeline and then go back to it. But things, you have other projects in the background. So the follow-uppers were always at the top of your mind, of the list, literally, as it refreshed. So definitely follow up with a message. Just don't get stuck. And whilst you're following up as well, keep that momentum going. That's what I mean by not getting stuck or not stalking. Sometimes you put all your eggs in one basket, but to keep it moving is a really kind of good idea, without getting that emotional investment. Be emotionally invested in you winning, and your resilience, and you being courageous, and you keep going, as opposed to companies, right? And that's a life lesson, really. Even when you get the job, be invested in self, not Linda, the manager, you know, or the company itself. And that's really the truth. Cool, excellent, excellent. Thank you. Really great answers. Really, really insightful. Dolapo, what was the biggest adjustment when you first started your job in tech?
I had a culture shock because I was moving from working in person to working virtually. Then I had to stand up every morning, attend meetings with colleagues virtually. I don't get to see them. And coupled with the fact that I'm a nursing mom, sometimes I have to like quickly leave the meeting, like of course communicate with them that, oh, I need to attend my baby. So it got to a time that I needed to just sort out childcare needs so that it doesn't interfere with my work. So I had the culture shock of also public speaking, because in that type of role, I was transitioning or moving into a product designer role. So it's in between working for the organization and also the consumer. I needed to understand the customer and also the organization, and I need to carry out research, reach out to our clients, like our users, and understand the challenges they have. So it's also helped me to build my like communication skills, because I needed to balance this. And another aspect is public speaking. So I particularly like my first role because most of the skills that I've come to develop today, I got to build it from that first role, because it was like a base or starting point for me. I got to organize events like this as a product designer and bring in people to discuss about their experience in tech, how we can better build product design teams, and how people can benefit from it. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll mute.
Gosh, it caught me. I love that. Thank you, Dolapo. That was really that was great. And you know, there's an element of staying flexible. There's always going to be some sort of, when you go into something that you knew, there's always going to be an adjustment period, right? So say I always stay kind of open to that, and stay kind of fluid, and but also ensure that you are using, you know, the right resources for you to make that adjustment, or the right help that you need to make that adjustment as seamless as possible. Brilliant. Esther, for you, what was your biggest adjustment when you landed your first role?
There's quite a few actually, but I'll start with working in a massive complex code base as someone who's still fairly new to it, with like complex architecture, and sometimes it felt like I was a little dot in like a massive field and trying to navigate everything. So the good thing is I have amazing colleagues who really take the time to break down some of these things, and it's definitely helped in my productivity and in the understanding of the solution in a granular and a bigger perspective. So I think just taking the time probably just to take the time outside of work. I actually did that. I wouldn't recommend it, but it was something that I felt I needed to do in order to kind of like get to grips with things. That was very like at the very early on stage of things, and now I don't do that. But it was necessary in order for me to grips with things quite quickly. And I'm still in the process of building that understanding. And I would also say the culture shock as well. It's my first corporate environment. I'm used to working in healthcare and sales, and especially a very female-oriented workforce. I think something that was quite interesting was like working with mostly men, and especially they're quite older than me. So like in terms of when it comes to small talk, I did sometimes struggle at the start. But it definitely got better, and we have great, interesting conversations. But that was definitely an adjustment to, you know, may not having a lot in common, which is fine. That was just new to me. I'd probably also say working in a fast-paced environment in an agile way. So working in sprints, there's a constant flow of work and delivery, and then review, and then work, delivery, review. So that was quite new to me. But now, like doing that months on, I'm so used to it. I'm like, I'm excited to see what's in the next sprint and what's going in the next release.
Thank you, Esther. That's great. I think you touched on a point that's really, really important. And I hope, I just want to kind of expand on it a little bit. It's okay when you're adjusting at any point actually in life. It's okay if you need to take a step back and honor your learning style. That's something that you did. I picked up on that straight away. You said in the beginning, you know what, you did have to kind of subsidize your learning as out in your comfort and environment. And yes, it did take X amount of time, but it solidified the foundation so that you're able to be at your best self there, rather than get pulled and dragged by the pace without having that downtime to learn in the way that you do. And we forget that. Sometimes we forget that our brains have a way kind of working, and we may need to kind of honor that. So definitely that's a key learn that I really, really appreciate. So when you are adjusting, yes, it's exciting, yes, it's fast, yes, it's where you want to be, but it's okay to create an environment, a learning environment for yourself, or to create some downtime for yourself to make sure that you can show up at your best. Excellent. Hawa, what was your biggest adjustment when starting your first role in tech?
I had so many challenges. My first role in tech was a mid-level cloud engineering role. So I went like straight from a boot camp to a mid-level role. And I had like just a sheer amount, like an intense amount of work that I needed to learn. Like I needed to learn quickly, and I needed to learn so much very, very quickly. I needed to learn like so much cloud engineering concepts. And my team was a small team that was also newly developed to solve the identity and access management challenges in the cabinet office. And there was a lot that I just needed to learn. I was able to get help from so many people, like mentors. I had to finish textbooks sometimes like within a week or within a weekend because I didn't know what I needed to do for the next week. I needed to learn how to like create pipelines and manage pipelines and come up like sometimes write requests for comments. There was just so much I needed to learn within a year. And I feel like I don't maybe I had not at that point, so many people that I've spoken to in tech had not experienced something similar. But my friend, who I said is a CBF alumni, had a similar situation. Her first role was a mid-level role, and she needed to learn very quickly. I feel like that's one of the things that in a way, it's like a very good thing, right? Like you start on a higher level and you get paid more, and you get to learn more, but it's very, very intense. And if that happens, obviously I'm not going to get a job and be like, oh, I don't want a job. I mean, I can't, but at that point I needed to get a job. So I feel like one of the things that people don't really say is the like sheer amount of like the amount of learning you have to do within your first year. As I think Esther said, like she was spending her time outside of work. I was spending weekends. I didn't have week. I can count amount of weekends I went out last year, because I needed to really study, and it did help though. Like now I'm very good at my job, and yeah. So I think that's something that can happen. That was my challenge, which I guess is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent, Howard. I guess that was your origin story then. That was when you were in those trenches, you just came out Phoenix and you thought, you know what? Not only have I mastered this and I'm a great mid-level, I'm even more. I'm starting my own, you know? So I love that. And you know what? You're going to, especially post boot camp, if you guys have finished a boot camp, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, get to a point where you're like, I have learned so much. And the adjustment is when you go into your first role in tech, it's going to be like, I know nothing. Like, what? And that's okay. Right? And you may feel like that every day for the next 10 years because there's always going to be something to discover. There's always going to be something new. There's always going to be something to innovate. It's the nature of the beast. It's the industry that we're in. So that's okay. It doesn't take away from what you already know. It just means that you're adding on, you're growing, you're becoming more powerful, you're ascending layer by layer by layer. You're adding layers to yourself, and that's something really, really incredible, right? And you're not just learning within that work environment, you're learning about yourself too, right? This is a professional and personal journey. So excellent. So I'd like to finish off with some final thoughts, one piece of advice from each, and then we're going to answer some questions because I can see the chat popping off. I've tried to not look, but I can see it popping off, and we are going to get as many questions answered as possible. So Dolapo, final word of advice. What would you tell someone who wants to secure their first role in tech?
I don't want to break the rule because I have more than an advice. But the first advice that I have is that you should not be afraid to fail and put your first foot forward, like go all in. If you have the belief that you're going to succeed, then 100% you are going to. What if you fail? Then what's going to happen? So please put all your energy in it and don't be afraid that you are going to fail. And also have a mentor, have a sponsor, and have a peer. I found this to be very important. Mentor will be the one to guide you in every steps you take. They will be the one to provide you the right advice and guidance. While the sponsor will be like, not really like a mentor, but in the sense that even when you are not in the rooms, they'll be able to like mention your names in rooms you are not. And a peer is also very important because you'd have someone to share your challenges with. You are like in the same level, so you have someone to share your experiences with.
Yeah, I love that, Dolapo. The Holy Trinity: a mentor, a sponsor, a peer. That's really aim to get that, someone to support, someone to amplify your profile and do some PR work for you, and someone who you're walking alongside, right, hand in hand. That's great. That's the perfect formula, actually. Esther, what about you? Final thoughts, final piece of power advice, how to land that first role in tech.
I have so many, but I will stick to the rules and try and encompass it in one. Practice makes permanent. And I remember someone said that to me. And essentially, the more you practice a skill and expose yourself to it, the better it gets and it becomes second nature. So I often remind myself on a daily basis that I may not get it now, I may not understand it fully now, or I may need some support in it. But the more I do it, in 6 months' time, in a year's time, in 5 years' time, it's going to be like, oh, I have this skill because I've been practicing it. And I think when it comes to especially software development, where there's a lot of complex things, you need to be patient with yourself and also realistic with yourself that, like, it may not come easy to you, but it doesn't mean that it's not for you. So just continue to practice in that. And obviously, when you do get that first role, you're gonna feel a lot of emotions. You're gonna make mistakes. You're probably gonna write very bad code. And you're gonna get a lot of good feedback, both good and critical feedback on how to improve. And I just keep saying, be patient with yourself and practice makes permanent. Like you will get there eventually.
I love that. Bang on, Esther. Practice makes permanent. You are going to make mistakes. There are going to be learning moments, but that's if you're not learning, if you're not making mistakes, you're not pushing yourself. Honestly, you're staying in your comfort zone, and that's more dangerous than trying to be kind of perfect or being fearful. So go in there with that confidence. Go in there with that curiosity, and practice makes not perfect, but makes permanent. I love that. How final piece of advice. What would you say to anyone wanting to secure their first role in tech?
Mine would be to go with something you really enjoy. Tech is difficult, and you shouldn't force yourself to learn something that you think I know everyone gets jobs for different reasons, but don't force yourself to learn something that you don't like. It's way more enjoyable if you like it. It's easier to learn it and practice it and become permanent if you like it. If you don't like writing code, don't force yourself to write code like Python code. Find something that is naturally aligned to you, and just get good at it. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's mine.
Thank you, Howard. Play to your strengths, play to your strengths, play to your passions. as well, because it's passion that keeps the fire burning on those days where it feels like you haven't seen sun in 2 weeks. You know, it's that passion, it's that fire, it's that real it's that real drive that comes within. That's what you can't replicate. And you know what, no amount of money as well. I know, you know, you need money, but I've seen people in high paying positions, lucky roles or really good roles, still burnt out, still having kind of complete breakdowns. So you have to get the balance right. And if you start with that passion, then the doors that open will be the right ones for you. Because it's always really it's kind of a shame. I mean, it's not the end of the world. You can get it back, but it's traveling the long way round if you take a route that is resistant to who you are, and then only to get there and think this is not working and I have to kind of take a reroute. Okay, so questions. Let's take it from the top. Halima says, "Hi Dolapo, what informed the organizations you choose?"
The
As in,
project there.
yes, as I
Yeah.
think you mentioned you chose specific organizations that you wanted to apply to, that you were interested in, that you liked what they were doing. Where did that kind of
Yeah.
information come from? What was your kind of metrics for who made the list?
Yeah, so it involved a lot of it's very time consuming because then you have to really know what their organization is doing. Like for example, if I'm interested in Facebook, what are they building? What is their team culture? So those were the things that informed my decision of the organization that I wanted to work for, the project they were building. Is this something that I have interest in? Am I motivated to wake up every day because I know tech is challenging, but I really want to be happy in the work that I do. So is this something that will keep me motivated, that I'll be happy that I'm making a difference in people's life every day? So that really influenced my decision of the organization that I picked. Another also is the pay because it is very important. Very, very. So I don't just want to get burned out and just be just working all for it. So I also want to have something very tangible in my pocket.
Of course. We're here to get paid, not played, honey. Not in today's
Yeah.
economy. It has to make sense. Yeah, that's really important. Naomi Nelson says, "What are the most important things to include in a portfolio that will help you stand out?" Esther, if you'd like to take this question, what are the most important things to include in a portfolio that will help you stand out?
I think it depends on what you're trying to go into. I think, again, similar to what the other girls touched upon, something that's interesting to you. So if you are someone that's a bit more data focused, finding interesting data samples and analyzing that and creating really interesting visuals and practicing using certain Python libraries, like doing something that you find interesting inevitably will make you stand out. And like if you look at the common projects that people tend to do, like note-taking apps and stuff like that, trying to have a spin on that makes it quite unique, but also possible at the same time. So I think it's quite subjective. So I think just practice maybe picking a project, something you find interesting, maybe something that's already been done, but trying to find a really interesting twist that makes it unique and different.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And remember, the tech world is solving problems, right? Solving issues, making people's life easier, taking something that hasn't been kind of innovated for a while and adding your spin, your, like you said, Esther, your personality into it, your innovation into it. Howard also added in the chat, make sure you have projects on GitHub. Your GitHub profile goes a long way. It does, especially tech recruiters. If you have your GitHub project on your LinkedIn, sometimes I would click the link, the external link, before even scrolling down to page 2. So I'd be like, yeah, quick, I want to see something. And it's really evident to see the first thing I look at is last login. If it's 2 years ago and you're telling me one of your first lines is I keep up to date and I'm always busy, I'm thinking, So yeah, definitely keep your shop window open, filled with your projects, however small. It doesn't matter the size of it. It matters that you're doing it, right? And other people aren't. So Halima says, how's the industry currently? Is there room for newbies? I'll answer this. Yes, there's room for you wherever you put your foot in, right? There isn't room if you're at home hiding, right? So there is room for you. Don't feed into any narratives. Don't feed in. This is a mindset shift I want you all to take away from this meet. Don't feed into the job market is bad. Don't feed into any money. There's enough money in the world for you. There's opportunities for you. You don't need a million jobs. You need one. You're telling me there's not one for Halima? There's not one for Mahum? Yes, there definitely is. So yes, there is plenty of opportunities for you. In fact, they're crying out for you as you seek, because what you're seeking is seeking you. So definitely. Mahum says, what helped with adapting to the cultures? You mentioned small talk. Who mentioned small talk? I think it was Esther.
Yeah.
You mentioned you had to master the art of small talk.
Yes, I'm still in the process of trying to master the art. So I think small talk and like if they mention something, oftentimes I have like a older colleague that will mention like an event that happened before my inception, or a historical event, or like a movie from the 80s. I would then like inquire about that. I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. They kind of will then open up and talk a bit more about that. And there's a lot that you can learn from them as well. So I try to just keep an open mind. I think small talk, you're gonna have to get good at it. You're just gonna, you don't have choice. Like working in a corporate environment, you don't have choice. I think aside from that, just being like, I don't want to say, but like being approachable, like kind of your body language, like what you say and everything, being present in all the moments, being present in the conversations that people are having around you, and joining those conversations are really, really good to build relationships. But yeah, like I think at the start I was a bit like shy, so I had to kind of like work a bit harder to kind of engage in more conversation with slightly older colleagues because I was like, I just don't have nothing in common with you. But you don't have to have anything in common with them in order to build a relationship.
Yeah. There's for me, how I think about small talk, the art of small talk is small bits of information, like you said, small tidbits, a nice film, a reference here and there that you retain and follow up on that makes them feel seen, valued, and remembered. That's what small talk is, right? And
Yeah.
it's that back and forth, back and forth. It's not like it's not deep, but the impression is it's oh, you remembered. It's that sort of thing. That's what it is. It's that back and forth. And it doesn't have to be labor intensive. It doesn't have to be really, really heavy. It just means that you're kind of keeping an ear out, if you like, for small pieces here and there, to connect with, right? Like I said, it's being human. We've got a minute. I'm going to take one more question before we close off. Mahum says, can you please signpost on how to get involved with open source projects, especially for starters and new beginners? Who wants to take that question? Hawa, what would you recommend to get started on open source projects?
There are a couple of Slack communities which I can't think of from the top of my head, but if I find the name of the person, I will send you a list. There are a couple of Slack channels that tend to come together with different people with different skills and build like just projects. Like I know one currently are building. They had like a group of 500 people and they put them into teams and they're building different products, which are quite amazing. There are people on LinkedIn, and usually I get open source projects from Slack channels, to be honest. But I can't think of the Slack channel from my head now, like the name of Slack channel. If I find it, I will send that to the person. If you can just give me maybe your LinkedIn name or something, and I will send it to you. But that's usually how I find them. And my friends in tech just tell me about like what they're building. Go to hackathons as well. If you go to a hackathon, maybe there'll be a chance that you meet someone that's building something and it's open source.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Feedback.
Can,
Mary says this session was very
can I also
useful.
add something to that? Sorry
Yes,
to
of course.
interrupt you now. I like our suggestion, but I also have a couple. I'm trying to find out some links, but I couldn't get. But I have to these two names. So Google Summer of Code is currently open. It's an open source for everyone, whereby you can look for organizations you want to contribute in and then apply. Another one is MFH Fellowship. So it's remote, whatever your tech skills is, so you can get involved in the open source. Then we have Outreach also. I can't remember the other links, but there's a particular website on GitHub whereby they post links of open source projects. So I used to update this in a spreadsheet that I created. I'm going to add the link to the chat, so you can check that and constantly check as I update it, as I will update it very soon.
Is it okay if I add the name of the Slack channels on the spreadsheet so everyone can see
Yes,
the laptop?
absolutely. Please do. Please use the chat and people can kind of copy and paste it out. But feedback is that this session's been really useful. I'm really happy because this session it's I wanted it to be actionable, and I think it has. The information that Esther, Dalapa, and Hawa have shared is enough to get you moving forward, right? We're all about momentum here, right? And as a final word from myself, having worked with a number of people exactly where you are, who have successfully transitioned into their first role in tech from either non-commercial experience or non-tech experience, whatever the situation may be, don't be afraid to center yourself in your job search, right? And by that, I mean, don't be afraid to really lean into your individual strengths. Don't be afraid to shape your job search journey from who you are. Sometimes the job search is very out of kind of body experience, and it's very much you kind of pleading or having that energy where you're like, please, I just want anything. Don't be afraid to take a step back, because actually you don't just want anything. You don't want to be just working anywhere. You don't want to be in a toxic environment. You don't want to be somewhere that doesn't appreciate and see you. So you do need to take that time to be like, who am I? What do I want to do? What makes my heart sing? What makes me feel passionate? What makes me feel excited? What would be the sort of work that I could do anywhere? In at home, in a team? What does that look like for me? Then go like that. Then lead by that, because clarity is confidence, right? Clarity is confidence. When you're in an interview, and this is from someone who has interviewed people at all levels, it really shows when someone wants that specific role versus someone just needs to pay rent. Not to take away from it, honey, the bills are real, but it really does show when someone is passionate about this, when they've done their research, when it's natural, when there's alignment, right? And that's when you get hiring managers to think, I really want to work with this person. That's when it feels individual. That's when you connect. And that's when the offers come in and you get paid. And that's where you go and you enjoy it. So thank you all for your time. Thank you, Dalapo. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Hawa. Oh, I wish I had music. But I'm really excited. I'm glad you all found this really great. I'm glad you've all got some use for it. I'm going to keep this open for a minute or so you can copy all of the information that you need. Hawa, you've done the Lord's work with the spreadsheet. Ooh. And please do connect as well, because this is the beginning of your community. If you're new to CBF, welcome. If you're part of the community, welcome back. But we're here to help. I'm happy to take any questions. If you'd like to email me, feel free to do so. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Feel free to do so, and let's stay connected, because we are better together. And we have every right to be here thriving, not clinging on, so not surviving. That time is gone and should have never even existed, let alone now. So yes, I'll keep this open for about a minute or so, but thank you so much, ladies. Everyone has been locked in. The questions have been great. The answers have been excellent. And the energy has definitely been here as well. So thank you very much.
I also just want to say thank you for hosting. You've been so good. I loved it. I loved your energy.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
an
It's been
amazing
great.
host.
It's been great. Thank you. It's been great. Thank you. I appreciate that. You're very welcome, Tanisha. Very welcome, Tony. Thank you, Amanda. I hope you found this useful. We'll be closing up in about a minute or so. But definitely join the Slack. Yes, our Slack channel is there. Join it, join it, join it. That's your community right there. There are hundreds of people in there at all different levels. So there's lots to be inspired by. There's lots to learn from, lots of opportunities as well. People have grown with CBF, and people who started off at juniors are now hiring managers, similar to Hawa. Hawa, exactly the same journey. You started off and now you're in the hiring position, so that's a good connection for you. So yes, definitely join our Slack community. You're very welcome, ladies. I look forward to our evening session to this evening, and the final day tomorrow of Careers Week. It's been awesome. It's just such a great energy and such a great event. But for now, we'll see. Hi, Kike. Yes, I didn't see you there. But for now, I will close off. If you're joining this evening, I look forward to seeing you in a few hours. Otherwise, see you all soon. Bye. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye,
Thank
ladies.
you.
You've been awesome.
Care,
Thank
bye.
you for your
Hope you-
knowledge.
hope you
Thank
message
you.
on LinkedIn. Thanks, bye.
Take care, bye.
Bye.
Good luck on everything.
You too.